Welcome to Dignifying Life. This is a podcast of Simpson Funeral Home. Our desire is to bring hope to the heart by providing information and resources regarding end-of-life care. If you are struggling with grief or know someone who is, or have questions about funeral planning, this just might be the place for you to find some hope for the journey and a little insight to share with your struggling friend or family member.
Welcome to Dignifying Life podcast. This is our first ever Dignifying Life podcast. I'm your host, Kyle Beverland, and it's an honor to be able to come to you. You know, Dignifying Life podcast is really kind of developed out of the idea and the vision to want to help those who are in grief. And I have with me three wonderful gentlemen that I want to feature, that we're going to feature in this first podcast episode. I have with me Nathan Dawson. He's pastor at Airport Community Church, chaplain here at the Simpson Funeral Home. I have with me Jim Wickenkamp. He is one of the pastors at Christ Church Warrenogo and a chaplain here at the funeral home. And I have also with us Austin Simpson, the owner and president, CEO of Simpson Funeral Home. And so, Austin, it's an honor to have you on our first podcast episode. And so, really, gentlemen, we just want to let people get to know us a little bit and kind of get to know who we are. And thought perhaps we could, Nathan, if you want to kick us off and kind of talk a little bit about. Tell us a little bit about yourself and why people might tune in and listen and follow along with our podcast.
Yeah, well, it's good to launch this thing and see where it goes and how it blesses, which is our prayer and our hope. But yeah, I've grew up in Webb City. In 2003, my wife and I journeyed to Kansas City, Missouri to go to seminary, and then thought we'd make a quick turnaround and U-turn, but that only happened 19 years later. We found ourselves back home. And I pastor Airport Community Church, which is legally North Main Street Baptist Church out there by the airport, but we recently updated our name with our location. I also have the distinct privilege to serve in the Air Force Reserves as a chaplain, so I've done that for just over 15 years now.
Wow.
And spent most of my ministry days in youth ministry and education, and a little bit as an associate pastor, and now pastoring a church.
Kansas City, huh? What favorite food in Kansas City? Where's the go-to spot if you're in Kansas City? I know you've told me one. I know that was in your own, where you guys used to live. But
oh yeah,
Brew Bakers.
Brew Bakers, yeah, that would have been our go-to spot.
Best burger in the world.
The best burger, best waffle fries I've ever had. We really enjoyed some of the unique pizza places in Kansas City. Waldo's Pizza, Pizza Shop, Minsky's, and then of course. At all costs, you stay away from Gates Barbecue. At all costs.
No. That's one of my go-to places, Nathan.
Don't they yell at you when you go in there?
Yes. How may I help you?
How may I help you?
I usually yell when I go to that place, like, not again.
Okay.
So
Come
anyway.
on, Nathan.
Well,
for all those who are listening
on them
to the
for being our
podcast,
sponsors, okay.
Yes. For all those who are listening to the podcast that enjoy Gates or even perhaps work there, I love Gates. Nathan, you a Q39 guy?
No, I think I like the Jack Stack. The beans.
Well,
so
it's hard to beat that.
But no, Gates is an experience. It really is. It's local Kansas City tradition, and it is a fun place to go.
Yeah.
So it is pretty. It's food.
Well, I know Nathan's going to, just as we roll these podcasts out, I know Nathan's going to be a great resource and a great insight as we publish these podcasts. So Nathan's it's a blessing to have you. Jim, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Yeah. I was born in Nebraska, but
Go Huskers, no? Or
well, go Huskers.
okay,
yeah.
You good with that?
I'm good with a lot of different college teams, and college football is fun to watch. So it's kind of neat to be able to root for several teams.
Yeah, I understand.
And Huskers being one of them.
Yeah.
When I was about 3 years old, almost 3 years old, my family moved to Colorado, and that's where I grew up.
Yeah.
So I really count Colorado as like home.
Buffalo.
And going home. Yeah, Colorado Buffs.
Yeah.
Especially when I graduated from college and was back in Colorado. That's when they had really, really good teams and gave people a run for their money and get to see them go to national championships and stuff. So a couple of different times in Colorado, moved back to Nebraska to go to college, graduated, went back to Colorado for ministry, back to Nebraska for ministry, and then down here for the last 25 years.
How many years you been in ministry, Jim?
Well, if you add them up, 6 in Colorado, 5.5 in Nebraska, and I've been down here for 25.
6, 5.5, and 25. That's about 30 36.
Yeah, I was just challenging your math skills.
Yeah, there you go. Did I strike
It was
out?
close enough. That's good.
Okay, 36 and a half. How about that?
Yes.
I think we're good.
Yeah.
Nathan, how many years have you been in ministry?
Well, I can't do math that fast, so I think it's about 28.
28. That's fantastic. That's fantastic. Austin, tell us a little bit about yourself.
So I'm not a pastor by occupation, right? I'm a third generation funeral home owner. Was born and raised opening doors for visitations at the ripe young age of 4 years old, as
There you
I've
go.
been told.
But you have a great vision for ministry in the funeral home.
Well, absolutely. I think that our ministry mindset and what we're doing, especially with this new podcast, is really revolutionary in our industry. Not many funeral homes have a chaplain that an at-need family can engage with and have a conversation before they even meet with a funeral director. And so that's really, really unique. And to couple with having a chaplain department with multiple chaplains and with this ministry of the podcast to bring grief resources home. I really think that that's helps us stand out.
Yeah, yeah. So you grew up in the funeral business, and you Webb City guy.
Yeah, yeah. Born and raised.
Probably your
born
most
and raised.
important job is to being a husband and a dad to raise the next generation. Little Jack, huh?
Yeah, little Jack is 3 years old. He is playing 3 and 4 year old soccer, so that is something to watch.
You
Yes.
coaching?
Very interesting.
Oh, not well. From the sidelines, absolutely right. But he is scared to even go out to the field. So we're holding hands and running together with his team. So it is unique.
Getting some good
Oh,
exercise.
absolutely.
That's good. So you became owner of the funeral home. What, about 4 years ago? What?
Yeah. Yep. Pretty close to it. Before that, I had left right after high school. Went to work in banking. Ended up becoming an accountant for a decent sized bank in Springfield for several years, and kind of had the calling that I felt led to from the Holy Spirit, just with my wife and I to be more involved in the family business and eventually develop the ministry a little bit more. So we moved back here for a year before I purchased a funeral home for my parents to allow my dad to retire. So yeah, I've been able to experience other things outside the funeral home, which I think has helped, at least from the business side of things, learning things, as well as getting some different perspectives from ministry and how it's done in different places and different denominations, right? So here at the funeral home, we see a lot of different denominations, right? And so we see how grief is different or similar depending on where people place their faith and where their beliefs are.
Yeah, that's good. So your generation, I mean, your dad was here for what, 20, 30 years? 40 years?
54, 55 years, I
54,
believe,
and
yeah.
your grandpa Jack was.
He was one of three partners that after World War II came back home and said, hey, we kind of like this Army medic thing, but we don't want to do that again. So let's use our specialties that we learned in the war, go to mortuary school, and let's do funeral directing. And so that's kind of where that grew out of, and it's been a family thing ever since.
So we're talking 100 years,
Yeah,
80 years.
our we took over a firm in Webb City that was Webb City Undertaking Company.
Yeah.
That its earliest existence I know is like 1880s. So
Wow.
our heritage in the business extends well beyond 100 years.
Yeah, well, that's fantastic. Well, appreciate that, Austin. Like I said, my name is Kyle Beverland, and I serve as the pastor at Emmanuel Baptist Church, and have since basically February of 2012. So what's that? 24 years? No, excuse me, not 24 years. I got the math problem right from Jimmer. I totally blew that. So 12 to 26 would be about 14 years, right? So,
Yep.
So about 14 years I've been at Emmanuel as pastor, service chaplain here, and have a wife and 4 children. And my oldest son's in college. Got a daughter that's in high school. A couple kids in high school. My one daughter and son, and then a son in junior high. So we, our lives are busy and traveling around, keeping up with the kids. I know Nathan, he's kind of in that same season of my life, and as I'm in, and Austin, you'll be there here before long. So if Jack's a soccer player, he'll be playing all over the place at some point. So yeah, so but it's a real treat to be able to bring these podcasts, and share some things. I look at this group and think about the collective years of ministry that exists here, 36 and a half and 20, what'd you say, 8, and Nathan and I is on similar paths there. So, collectively we've got, what, 75, 80, 90 years of ministry, potentially even throw Austin's years of service in there. So you're looking at probably in excess of 100 years of ministry and service in this, whether through ministry or funeral home. And so I really think that's going to help bear on our podcast episodes, so people can, we've got experiences both personally and also helping others over the years that we're going to share from. And so I want to talk just a little bit about our own grief journey and, what has been our experience with grief. And Austin, I know recently you just lost your father. So you want to talk to us a little bit about your own experience with grief and obviously helping folks from grief, but now experiencing grief in a very personal way that you've not felt before. Talk to us a little bit about that.
Yeah, what's interesting. My father passed away February 8th, 2026. So it's been fairly recent.
Yeah.
And what has been really interesting is we learn occupationally and through ministry, the portrayed stages of grief, right, which can be viewed in different ways for different people. And so we have a good working knowledge of how grief works, right? We see it. Everyone grieves a little bit differently. But boy, when it hits home, it throws all of your training out the window. You are just in your raw state of grief.
Yeah.
And I think what's been most eye-opening through this time has been how real what I've learned and occupationally seen from others, how real that is when it hits home. And so, if anything, it has allowed me to develop a little bit more in-depth empathy and care. I told someone the other day, I said, I used to, as a funeral director, sit down and I'd say, okay, we're going to go through steps 1 through 7 here.
Yeah.
And, for that program we're going to have for the service, I need you to pick out 12 pictures of your family. Well, if you think about that, they're in an acute state of loss, right?
Yeah.
And they're thinking, oh my goodness, my dad just passed and only 12 pictures? Like,
Yeah.
how do I encapsulate his life in 12 pictures,
Yeah.
right? And so now my mindset has been, hey, let's find all the pictures you can of dad and let me help you
Yeah.
find those 12 pictures, right? And so just the level of care and recognizing that there's a lot more going on, even beyond funeral planning. And I want to take care of the human that's behind here, that's sitting
Yeah.
here with me. And I'm going to take care of those funeral details because when my dad died, that's what our team here at the funeral home did.
Yeah.
Is they let me grieve and they took care of
Yeah.
everything. So
Nathan, you've experienced grief as well personally. I mean,
Yeah. So, the one that stands out to me the most is my mom.
Yeah.
I know we'll most likely talk about our own stories later on in different parts, but, just never forget, a much needed vacation. And we were probably 750 miles away, 800 miles away, had literally just, you know, emptied the car from groceries. And we tried to go to church on vacation. So we went grocery shopping on Saturday night, went to church on Sunday morning. Monday morning we woke up, for a week long day at the beach. And I remember my phone going off at 6:30 in the morning.
Yeah.
And my brother, it's my brother's name come up on my phone. And I thought, we're beyond the days of, sharing the latest fish story, or it wasn't deer hunting season. So I know there wasn't a big deer on the ground.
Yeah.
And I thought there's nothing good coming out of this phone call at 6:30 in the morning.
Yeah.
And so I didn't answer it. And finally I jumped in the shower, and my wife comes in and says, Nathan, your dad's on the phone. Like you need to come, you need to take this phone call. And that's, found out that my mom had passed away from most likely a massive heart attack. And so, what, thinking about, we were down there with some friends. And so, our first thought was call our friends and they can come raid the refrigerator. And I took bags of groceries down the sidewalk of our hotel, giving them to people who wanted groceries for the week. And then immediately trying to pack the car and get 3 little boys in the car and head back to Webb City. And, we took our time. It's hard to travel with young kids. And so I showed up probably on Tuesday afternoon. And I felt like I was behind. like a day and a half behind
Yeah.
my family.
Yeah.
And so I have a unique. Every now and then I'll come across someone who's experienced something like that. It's like this tough,
Yeah.
at a distance.
Yeah, because you wasn't in that moment with them when it first
No,
happened.
I mean my brother was over the house,
Yeah.
probably within 5-10 minutes of my dad, finding my mom, and of course the ambulance service there and other family members, and when I showed up, I had, we had family from out of town that had beat me from West Coast or East Coast right back home.
Yeah. Yeah.
Before I was there.
Yeah, that's been that was about 2014, 13?
2013.
13.
Yeah. So
Yeah. Jim, tell us a little bit about your own grief journey, grief
Yeah.
story.
I've lost loved ones, grandparents, and
Yeah.
and going through that. And I was at different ages as different ones passed away, and
Yeah.
so have that as just part of my grief story.
Yeah.
But I also think of people that were like family.
Yeah, sure.
That my dad was a preacher, and the church that he was a preacher at, they were like family, and even called people aunt and uncle.
Yeah.
And so when those aunts and uncles passed away, we would travel from Colorado back to Nebraska for those services and on vacations back and visiting family.
Yeah.
And so at a young age, I remember grieving the loss of some of those aunts and uncles.
Yeah. Yeah.
And being in ministry,
Yeah.
people that are a part of our churches are, we throw around brother and sister in Christ.
Yeah. They truly are.
Yeah, when they truly are, and you truly grieve.
Yeah.
When they're gone.
Yeah.
And so that's definitely part of my grief story and grief experiences is coming along people, but people coming alongside me as well during all of those.
Yeah, sure. I look at my own life, and back in November of 17th, 2025, my dad passed away, and kind of an unexpected situation. And, I lost my grandpa back in 97 and both grandmas since between that time and my dad. My other grandpa passed in about 86, my dad's dad, and I was a little kid at that time. But the one most significant that's been hardest for me to deal with has been, my dad passing in November, about 5 months ago, and a little over now. And man, that's just tore me up. It's just rocked my world, and I can't seem to. I don't know. I don't know to get over it's the right word, but I can't seem to get it assimilated in my heart, my mind. I keep thinking, I can't believe my dad's gone. I'm not. I understand it, but I just can't believe it.
Yeah.
And so that's been a difficult journey, as Austin's recently experienced as well. And so, I think it's good for those who tune in this podcast to know that we not only want to bring some advice and some comfort, some direction from the Bible, but also, we're people that have experienced loss in the similar ways, if not the same ways they have. And it's, sometimes you hear people say, well, I know what you're going through. You say, do you really know what I'm going through? I can tell you, I don't know what Nathan's going through because I've not lost my mom, but I do know what Austin's going through. And he knows what I'm going through because we both just lost our dads. And I don't think we're trying to prove to you or anyone else that we know exactly what you're going through, but we have experienced loss, and all our desires to kind of come alongside and encourage you through this podcast as we publish episodes. I know we're kind of getting close on time, but I want to just take maybe 30 seconds to a minute to just kind of share why the podcast. As we launch this first podcast, why the podcast? Why is this important to you? What's the vision behind it? Kind of why the podcast? Jim, you want to talk a little bit about why the podcast?
When I think about what a podcast can do, it meets people where they're at at a time when they need it and when they're looking for something. And when you think about grief and when losing somebody, it's usually not something that you're planning for and expecting, and especially how you're processing it, even though you might know a lot about it. Experiencing it's a whole different story. And so being able to meet people when they're experiencing grief and being able to have a conversation with them through this, to meet them where they're at such a time when it's so needed.
Yeah.
So that would be one. And then the second would be since this is an ongoing conversation, that we will be able to cover lots and lots of topics that are related to grief.
Yeah.
And in time, people will be able to pick the topic that they are dealing with right then and right there.
Listen up. Yeah. Austin, what about you? Why is this podcast important to you?
Well, to add to what Jim said, when we were in the development stages of this early on, I had a lot of personal hesitation to me participating in the podcast, and yet you still chose me to do the first episode.
Yes.
But what's funny is God works in some really mysterious ways, and we all know that, and that's probably a little cliche to say, but it's true. When we were developing things, my dad was in a decline. We were kind of dealing through that anticipatory grief, and lo and behold, he passes away, and now I'm right in the group here on. I've got that firsthand account of grief, so coming into it a little fearful of, hey, I'm just a funeral director. And maybe catching some people like, well, he's not going to know. He's too young. He hasn't experienced an acute loss like this. That's changed, and I believe that there's a reason for that. I believe that Christ has there's probably many reasons. Dad was in pain and his memory gone, and so for him to be at peace with the Lord is great.
Yeah.
But for me to be here and be able to talk with some experience, I think is good. So
yeah. Nathan, what about you? Just a few seconds.
I think resources, we've already explored future podcasts and just in those explorations, you've got articles and books and scriptures in mind. Jim, same way. Austin, experience from the professional side of things. And I've got a handful of resources as well. And so in 20 minutes, we're going to cover thousands of pages of material possibly.
Yeah.
So you can get a quick dose of some help and resources to go through.
Yeah.
As people journey through grief.
Yeah. I think for me, it's a podcast support because I like Jim said, I think it meets people where they're at. I think it provides a resource that's accessible to them, whether it's 8:00 in the morning or 6:00 on a commute to work, or midnight traveling on the highway home from a vacation. You just hey, I want to pick up that podcast episode, tune into it or whatever, pull it up, and listen. So we just want to be able to provide a resource. I think about Psalm 23, and the psalmist says that, yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I'll fear no evil, for you're with me. And also in there it talks about how God can bring, the great shepherd, bring restoration to the soul. We truly believe that God's able to bring restoration to people's hearts, and if we can be used by God to bring some restoration and point some people to some hope and restoration, that's what we want to do, and help walk with folks through that valley. And fortunately, if there's anything positive about grief, it is a valley, and we don't have to come just stay in it. So we look forward to bringing these podcast episodes to you, and hopefully this first episode's allowed you to just kind of connect with us a little bit on a personal level, get to know us a little bit. We look forward to dropping a podcast on a regular basis to you all, and I want to encourage you to like the podcast, share the podcast, subscribe to it, share with others as we produce podcast episodes. If you find one particularly helpful, make sure you get that out in someone else's hands as well. Share that with them. And it's just an honor to be trusted. Hope you have a great day. God bless.
Thank you for joining us for today's podcast. Feel free to join us next time. Also, please be encouraged to subscribe to our Dignifying Life podcast and share the podcast with others. If you need anything, reach out to us at Simpson Funeral Home in Webb City, Missouri at 417-673-2411, or find us online at simpsonfh.com.